project, you'll need silk beading thread. We're using black, a faceted crystal briolette that's top drilled, a screw clasp, scissors, GS Hypo Cement jewelry glue, and a tape measure. To make this necklace, the first thing you want to do is cut a 22-inch length of the silk beading thread, and then you simply feed on your briolette, and make sure that you don't have a frayed end on your silk. Give yourself a nice clean blunt cut with the scissors so that it'll go right through that briolette. And we're just going to slide that on and not worry about where it lands, because the very next step is just tying on one end of the clasp. So we've got one end of the clasp here. Slide it on. I want to give myself a little bit of room to tie a knot around the loop in that clasp. So that's why we gave ourselves a little extra room. The necklace itself will end up being 16 inches. So to tie this knot, I'm going to hold that end of the clasp in my fingers like that, and I'm going to secure the other end, the longer end of the thread, just between my fingers like that. Just makes it easier to work. And then to tie the knot, I'm going to go under the thread and back over and through the loop and pull it tight. So that's one knot. And we're going to do a double knot just so it's nice and secure. So we'll do that again. Feed our end under the thread and then over the thread and back through the loop like that. It's getting caught on itself. There we go. And we'll pull that tight. Now we want to trim the thread kind of close to the knot. It doesn't have to be right next to the knot because you don't want it to come undone. And we're going to hide that little end in a second here. So that little end that's sticking out, we're going to kind of tuck it down a little bit next to the other thread and add a dab of glue. This glue we love because it has this tiny little, they call it a precision tip, and that is really nice for small projects like this. Now again, I'm going to hold my thread kind of tight. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the knot, kind of all over the knot to make sure it's nice and secure there. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit of the glue just right under that knot, because I'm going to tuck that little end down into the knot so that it gets hidden like that. So that's one end done with our clasp already on there. Nice. And the next thing we want to do is slide the other end of the clasp on the necklace. And we want to measure our necklace to see where we tie the knot and put this clasp. So to do that, we're going to take our tape measure and hold on to the end of the clasp and just sort of lay the necklace out with the tape measure to measure that out to 16. Just move that briolette out of the way. It's going to slide around on the necklace, which is part of the joy of this necklace, so don't worry about that. So we're going to move this to the 16, and that's where we're going to want our knot. So to tie the knot, this is a little bit trickier because we want to be sure that that ends up at that same spot. So I'm picking it up and holding both sides of the thread pretty firmly in my fingers here. So now we're going to tie a knot in our thread the same way we did at the other end. So I'm going to hold on to the thread that's connected to the necklace with my fingers because I don't want this clasp to move around. I want to be sure it ends up right where we want it. So to do that, we're going to tie the knot like we did before. We're going to go under the longer thread and then through the loop like that and pull it tight. And that's our first knot. And then we're going to do that again, under and then over and back through the center. And pull it tight again, nice and tight. It's a fun way to do a clasp because you don't need a lot of extra findings. We're going to trim that close to the knot, but leaving a tiny bit of a tail there. And then we're going to add our glue. So we'll add the glue to the knot first, kind of get it all over that knot so that it stays nice and secure, like that. And then we're going to add a little bit of the glue just below the knot so that we can kind of press the little tail down, and it sort of hides it there against the knot. Let me see if I can get it to do it. There we go. And it dries pretty quickly. And now we're just going to close our clasp. And there is our simple, beautiful briolette necklace.